For more, I'm bringing in Belpointe chief strategist David Nelson, along with Moody's chief economist John Lonski. Why are we still the best game in town?
Because the rest of the world is lagging behind. I think one of the reasons why is that we've gone forward with deregulation, with tax cuts, and this has enlivened the U.S. economy vis-a-vis the rest of the world.
Enough that we can take any of these trade hits?
For now, it seems as though we can. Let's, not forget that we are running a trade deficit. So if anything, who knows, perhaps a trade war might be either neutral or a slight net benefit to the U.S. economy. It's these countries that are running huge trade surpluses. That's where you find the equity markets are down sharply since the latest outbreak of trade tensions for the year to date.
You would?
I would. And, if you're keeping score, look at our markets. We're up a little bit on the year. Look at China, down pretty significantly. And they enjoy the trade surplus. They're going to probably... they're running out of runway as we speak. And I don't think there's any investor out there that likes, the trade discontent and the rattling of sabers. But I agree with the president. There are some real issues here, and the global trade system is broken. And it's not just the industrial marketplace where intellectual property is being robbed. Look at China's J-31 strike fighter. It looks exactly like a Lockheed Martin F-35. If we don't do something now, when will we do it?
Yeah, that's what I keep saying over and over again. I mean, my concern, John, is that if you allow this to continue with completely unchecked, then you're not going to have the kind of economy that we have right now. You will lose that position to China.
That's exactly right. And the market believes that if it begins to sell off deeply in response to troubling news on the trade front, that would tell the Trump administration to go more slowly, to perhaps reconsider some of its positions. But as it stands right now, the U.S. economy is doing great. China's not doing that well. Europe is not doing that well.
So does that give us more ammunition, so to speak, when we're dealing with them in this trade war? Don't forget, we're their biggest customer. We're the world's biggest customer.
I think the president's actually getting some results. I think it was last week, you actually had German automakers go to their constituents, go to the politicians and say, cut a deal, make a deal. Yeah. And some people are actually talking about no tariffs. And that was teased by the president back at the G7 in Canada not that long ago. What would the world look like if we actually had lower tariffs across the board?
It'd be fair. I mean, then you could actually have a fair,
maybe that's the end game.
Maybe
that's the end game.
And I'm going to go ahead and predict that 1 year from now, there is going to be less in terms of tariffs and restrictions on international trade than you have today after this is
John and I aren't often on the same side of the debate, but I agree with that.
Right?
Right.
I mean, that is an accomplishment. If he can say, I was able to lower these tariffs, I was able to secure our intellectual property in a meaningful way, because don't forget how much that's costing companies, that is something.
I don't think it's policy, Trish, that's the problem. If there's something I could fault, it would be the communication of the message. You can't have, like, Steve Mnuchin and Peter Navarro going out on opposing networks talking their book. Those conversations should be kept inside the Oval Office, where the commander-in-chief makes the decision in the end.
So walk me through that. So you don't so Steve Mnuchin's like, oh, he's trying to temper everybody's
you create a disjointed message.
Like, we're going hard after China. And it's like, wait, what's really happening? Is that...
Keep it inside the room until you have a deal.
Markets?
I don't think you have to put it out there.
Is that why we were down so much? Not last few sessions,
the uncertainty certainly fed it, and I think that's what investors were, reacting to, because the numbers are still pretty good. I think they're reacting to the uncertainty.
Go ahead.
Well, with reference to what you're talking about, in the past, we had trade deals. They were kept secret. Okay, the public didn't have any idea of what was going on when these trade deals were being put together. This is a lot different than we're having today. This is wide open, and everybody has, some knowledge of the issues that are being discussed and which goods are being targeted and so on. This is perhaps refreshing for a democracy. It's a big improvement.
I think it's great, and I say this as a business and economics reporter. I mean, sometimes I was once told in my career, don't say GDP on air. Please don't say GDP on air, because no one knows what you're talking about. I guarantee you people know what GDP is now, and that's because the president keeps talking about it.
You can pull it at a gas station, they know what that word was.
Right? I mean, but that is refreshing. People are talking about trade. People are talking about GDP growth. People are talking about the unemployment rate, and this is what we need more of, because ultimately people do vote their pocketbooks, and you want to hold these politicians responsible.
I think that's true, but I think the conversation should remain with the professionals, because what's happening, it's being debated in the media, and the media is out there.
I see what you're saying, because he's got members of his own team out there saying different things, and
that's a disjointed message. And I get
manage them a little.
I get the generals at times, they disagree, but in the end, one person has to make the call. Keep it inside of headquarters.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much. Good to see you both.